This is a town of 5,000 people. I'm Susie Hokanson. I live in Spokane, and there was a feature in the Spokesman Review in January about a couple in Colville that buy homes and restore them using men in transition. So I called and came up on a Saturday, and Barry took me around to see all that they're accomplishing up here, and I was stunned. Dr. Barry and Shelley Bacon live in Colville and have made it their mission to identify needs in their community and fill them.
We identified housing as one of those health disparities that really should be addressed. So 2015 we became about housing, and we started what's now called Hope Street Project at about that time. Restoring humanity in people that are living in this situation is a really important component. And so then the next step was, well, what about jobs? Hope Street Restoration is all about employment. It's the for-profit arm, and it's about beautifying the city and creating housing for anyone. Hope Street Project is about giving people basic human services so they can take the next steps in their lives.
And one of the tenets of Hope Street Restoration is we encourage them to give back. And they, the ones who are doing the best, I think, really get that. Travis being one of them, regularly volunteers. He loves to be with us and doing good things, which is awesome.
Well, Hope Street Restoration is not a job. And that's the only way I can really describe it. Hope Street Restoration is not a job. It's a family. It's not about the pay here. It's not about, oh, I gotta go work 5 days a week. We become a tight-knit family. Shelley and Barry are like mom and dad, and they treat us with love, and they show us. It's kind of nice to have people in our lives that are showing us by leading by example, and like everything to do is out of love and care.
Unfortunately, getting a job doesn't fix everything because there's no housing to be had. But I think what Shelley's underlining is it's not as simple as having just a job, but it's not that simple. Really, you need a roof over your head and a door that you can lock.
How stressful is it if you don't know where you're going to sleep that night? If you don't know if you're going to have heat that night? If you don't know if you're going to have water to bathe in the next day? We take those things for granted every single day.
Basically, I was fresh out of rehab, and I was kind of down on my luck. I kind of burned a lot of my bridges, and the only thing I could get my hands on was a tent and some sleeping bags, and half of that was from Hope Street. Within a couple of weeks of just showing the effort and showing what I was worth and my value, they kind of offered me the opportunity to stay at the shelter, and I've been on the list for over 8 months there. And once I got a second word through Shelley and Barry, they gave me a good opportunity down at the shelter. And now I get to shower every day, got a nice place to keep my food, laundry every day, show up in clean clothes. They're fairly understanding because like I do have my probation and like I have my IOP classes. So like in between coming fresh out of rehab, I have to take my classes to help restructure my life that are, requirements for my circumstance.
They have all these things and requirements they have to do, understandably, but they're during work hours. So what employer is going to give them 3 hours off 2 days a week, 4 hours off 2 days a week to go to their classes and to go to their courts and to go to Spokane for court? And by the way, they may not have any transportation often. They don't, so they have to take longer time off to be able to go on the public transportation or walk. Additionally, many times when people are homeless, they have lost pretty much everything. So how are they supposed to get a job if they don't have their ID? They don't have their Social Security card. They don't have their birth certificate. They don't have a driver's license anymore. It becomes very, very complex in many layers. And the simple, just get a job, is not really as simple as that.
Dr. Barry and Shelley founded and run a drop-in center that assists people who may be homeless or addicted or mentally ill, or all three. It's run by Teresa, who has a special understanding for her clients.
If somebody needed mental health, addiction, housing, a Social Security card, a driver's license, I can assist them to get an EBT card, to work through getting Social Security, to work through getting their driver's license.
Hope Street Rest Stop, the vision there with our leadership team was to create under one roof the ability for people to access basic human services like laundry, like a shower, like some emergency food, like some water, a place to warm up, a place to belong, a place to connect to community, to access things like mental health support and appointments and housing services and other services. So we have those agencies coming under our roof and we welcome them.
A lot of different people use our services, mostly homeless. When I was going through my mental illness and my journey, this is a place that wasn't there. This wasn't a place that I could come to and be able to connect with people, be able to have a hub of resources all in one spot. Because when you're going through it, you don't want to go to this place and then go over to that place, and sometimes you don't have the energy to do that. And sometimes you can't even hold that space within yourself to even want to do that. So if you have a hub that has all of those resources, or that you can refer them out, it helps.
Dr. Bacon has instituted a different way of providing health care in this community.
We were looking at health disparities in our community, and one of the health disparities we identified was access to care by people who don't have insurance or who are low income. The question is, how do they access care? What do they do when they get sick? And we decided that we were going to try to address that by creating what's called a direct primary care clinic.
So I knew Dr. Bacon, Barry, for a very long time, and he was opening this clinic. I actually sent him a Facebook message saying that I was kind of interested in what he was doing and if they had any openings.
So access to primary care does a number of things. One is that it allows for access to basic care. When your kid gets sick, you can bring the child in. When you get sick or you need to get a physical or you have a medical concern, you can get in and access basic care. It often prevents very high costly interventions that might end you up in an emergency department if you take care of it early on.
The mission to help people who cannot afford insurance be able to have affordable medical, and it's just pretty crazy how people can't afford medical or they have so much deductible that they can't afford to actually be seen unless it's catastrophic.
This is a town of 5,000 people, and it shows what one couple can accomplish by investing their time and their money and their hearts to help people.
Having this kind of stability around me and support around me has just totally changed my whole mind state on being sober and taking things into my own hands and staying well with my hands working. It's honestly a blessing. I never would have seen myself coming this far, fresh out of rehab and fresh in my recovery, but I've been building all new strengths and supports through this program all together.
It's an honor working with Shelley and Barry and working here and letting the public see that addicts and felons and homeless aren't all pieces of junk, we're humans. We're brothers and sisters, moms and dads. We're people that are having rough times. We're people that choose to do what we do. When help shows up and we take it, we can excel.
The changes in Colville being made by these few individuals is a repeatable formula. Colville is being changed for the better. As Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. I'm Susie Hokanson.